Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Tech Motoring. On today's episode we're going to be going over this adapter right here. This is the Nivion Tesla to J1772 adapter. So you can charge your J1772 enabled vehicles with Tesla destination chargers, wall chargers, whatever, with this adapter. So let's dive in, let's take a look, subscribe, and we'll be right back. All right, everybody, well, welcome back. So like I was saying, Nivion reached out to me and sent me out this really cool Tesla to J1772 adapter. Now, I know there's a lot of these on the market, but every single one has a slightly different feature or specification that makes it possibly more important than the last. And so I want to go over all those with you today and see if this is the adapter that you should buy for your J1772 vehicle. Now, I know we're all starting to see the news about NACS being adopted by all the major manufacturers, Ford being one of them, but there will be quite a few vehicles on the road with CCS and J1772 moving on in the future. It's going to take a couple years for everybody to start adopting NACS, and then even by that time, there's still going to be a lot of companies that may or may not adopt NACS. We don't know yet. But this will be something that a lot of people who have cars now and who keep their cars for a long time will need to keep on them, because as more Tesla chargers pop up in the world, we'll be able to use those chargers with these adapters. Of course, these don't work with superchargers, keep that in mind. So any type of Tesla supercharger will not function with these adapters. You're looking at pretty much the Tesla wall connectors and the Tesla destination chargers at hotels. Those are the ones that you're going to be looking at. So this is the box that the adapter came in, and a pretty standard box. We'll just do a quick open boxing real quick, go over a couple things on the box. Now, one of the things here is that this is rated as an 80 amp adapter. 80 amps that you're allowed to pass through this adapter to your vehicle, which means that you pretty much will never find a charger you cannot use with this adapter, which is really cool. Now, are 80 amp chargers really prevalent out in the world? No, not really, and not many vehicles can actually accept 80 amps into their onboard AC inverter. So what you have to remember is that it's always good to have an 80 amp charger in the event that you come across one, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to see a lot of them out there on the road. So a couple things I want to go over on the box. It says 80 amp Tesla to J1772 Type 1 adapter. It is compatible with aforementioned Tesla high power wall connector, Tesla destination chargers, and Tesla mobile connectors. So the connector that you usually get and you keep in your car that plugs into a wall outlet, the high power wall connector, level 2 connectors that you put into your garage, and of course the Tesla destination chargers that you may come across out in the wild or at a hotel. So not compatible with Tesla supercharger. So it says so right there on the box, which is good. Has a maximum voltage of 250 volts, which is pretty standard. You're going to come across mostly 240 volt chargers out in the wild or even in your garage per se. Maximum 80 amps, like we said before. And the temperature range is between negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty cold, and 122 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty warm. But keeping in mind that if you're pumping a lot of power through this adapter, and let's say you're in the south, and let's say it's the middle of summertime and the sun is hitting that charger, it is possible that this adapter may get beyond those specifications. So keep that in mind, that if you're planning on using this outside in the middle of the summertime, maybe not keep this out in the sun, because it may actually go beyond those limits there. Couple of things I want to read off the side of the box here, and then I've seen this on pretty much all these adapters. When using the Tesla destination chargers, please ensure the output current is less than 80 amps. It is very uncommon that you'll come across any charger that will output more than 80 amps. In fact, I haven't even heard of chargers that can do more than 80 amps. Most of the time, you're going to come across some older Tesla destination chargers that may do 80 amps. Because some of the original Teslas were able to accept 80 amps. They had 80 amp onboard chargers. But most of the Teslas nowadays will only accept 48 amps. This vehicle behind me, the Mustang Mach-E, can only accept 48 amps. So it's very rare that you're going to come across a charger that can output that much power. The next thing is, it says after connecting the adapter to the Tesla charger, so you're going to make sure you plug it into the handle of the Tesla charger first, wait 30 seconds, and then connect the other end to your EV on the J1772 side. That makes sense. You always want to make sure you plug it into the adapter first and then plug it into your car. You don't want to put the adapter in your car and then put the handle into that. So you want to make sure that communication and that fit is snug before you go plugging it into the car. And it says before use, please make sure that the output port of the Tesla charging pile is closely connected with the charge adapter. Basically, just make sure that it's snug inside of this adapter before you go plugging it into your car. You don't want to have any arcing to happen because of that. And we're going to test that today to see how that function feels putting in that Tesla charging handle into the adapter. All right, well, that pretty much confirms everything on the box. Let's go ahead and open it up. And pretty much the only thing you get in the box, of course, is the charging adapter. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So really nice shape design. It's not the smallest charging adapter I see on the market. It definitely is on the larger side of some of them. I would say it's probably a little bit thinner than some of the ones on the market, but it's definitely not shorter. So from this perspective, it's probably a little longer than a few of them I've seen on the market. Though it's completely up to you whether or not this is something that'll work better for you just because of that, or, you know, whatever. So really, really nice design, has a good grip to it. It's completely plastic texture, but it's a very hard, solid plastic. I don't feel like this would break if I were to drop it onto, you know, a concrete floor like this. At least not the first time. Who knows about the second or third or fourth time you drop this. But then again, these adapters are probably not being used all that much unless you're using them in your garage. Let's say you have a Tesla wall connector in your garage and you're using this to charge your J1772 vehicle, like this one behind me, and then I can see you wanting to use these chargers every single day. And that's perfectly fine. And of course, I always recommend that if you're going to use adapters on a normal basis, always get an adapter that's higher than what you need. So some adapters on the market could be rated for 40 amps, some could be rated for 48 amps, some are rated for 60 amps. So let's just say that you have a charger that outputs 60 amps of power. You want to get something that's probably going to be accepting 80 amps, like this Nivion Tesla to J1772 adapter. This way you're overshooting it a little bit, and so you have a little bit more buffer and a little bit more safety when it comes to charging your car consistently using these adapters. Typically, I just leave adapters in the back of my cars when I go out on road trips or I stop at a hotel and I come across an opportunity to charge my vehicle using either side of the spectrum, whether it be a Tesla charger or J1772. So I always like to keep adapters in my car specifically for that reason. And that's might be something that you're looking to do. Is this going to be an adapter that sits in your car? Maybe. If not, this might be one you use every single day in your garage. So let's take a look a little bit more at this adapter. This is rated at IP65. So it's an IP65 rating, which means that it is capable of taking large amounts of projected water into this without actually getting into the casing of the adapter. Also keep in mind that it is also with that IP6 part of the rating, that means it's not going to allow any dust or particles to get into it for a very long amount of time, quite a few hours. So could you potentially wash your car while charging it with this adapter? Yes, though I still don't recommend that. But you know that if you were to have your car charging out in a parking lot somewhere, and if it were to really downpour real hard, you should have pretty good confidence that this adapter will do that. Now, I can't really test that feature, but I'm going to say that they are claiming that based on their Amazon listing. And of course, if you are interested in this product, don't forget to take a look down in the description below. You'll see the listing right there for where you can pick this up for yourself. Now, the other things I'll talk about with the IP65 rating is that you do see that there is an O-ring on the inside of the J1772 side, which is nice because that means it's got that nice seal, so when you plug it into your vehicle, nothing is really going to get from in between this to go in between and inside of your charging connector and potentially, you know, cause any issues inside of this adapter and or your car for that matter. So that's good to see. And on this side we have the Tesla side, which looks really good. The pins look pretty strong. The small plastic piece between the pins appears to be very stiff, really strong, and doesn't appear to be bending or possibly a chance of it breaking. when you plug your charging handle in, so that's good to see. A feature that I do like on this is this right here. So it has a lock mechanism, so you can actually lock your Tesla charging handle to the adapter itself, which I think is a really cool thing. And you can actually put a lock through this. So if you have one of those small key locks, you can run it through here and lock this handle. So this way, if somebody were to unplug it from your vehicle, they couldn't steal the adapter because it would still be stuck to the Tesla charging handle, which would also prevent them from potentially stealing your charging session. If you're at a hotel or somewhere out in public where somebody might want to just pull it out of your car to charge their own car, they couldn't do that because you can use that locking mechanism. Now, the other cool thing is that this is an automatic locking mechanism as far as the type of mechanism it is. So when you plug it in, it automatically locks the Tesla charging handle to this. You don't have to slide any type of slide lock on this to lock it into place. It will automatically do that. So in order to release it, you have to pull up on that piece. Let's go ahead and demonstrate that right now. All right, so what we have here is a pretty typical Tesla charging handle in my garage. Now, we could see how this process works when you go ahead and plug the Tesla charging handle into it. Let's see how this goes. Sounds good, feels good. Didn't feel like there was any hard pushing that was necessary to get the charging handle into the adapter. It felt like it was pretty good the whole time going in. It doesn't really wiggle. It doesn't have a lot of room for it to move around, which is nice. So now this is the, let's see this again. So it does not appear that this locking mechanism works very well. So you do have to hold it in a little bit. So it doesn't appear to be holding that back very well. So potentially if you were to, let's see, if I were to hold this down, so I'm holding this up, and now it's locked in, yeah. So, okay, so a little bit weird with that locking mechanism there. I think that maybe they didn't go big enough on the swing. So as you can see that when you open and close this mechanism here, the hole in which you can see light through, it doesn't quite close off that hole very much when you pull on the release. So I don't know if that could be something that could be improved later on. I really feel like that might be a little bit of a missed opportunity there. They could have made this action a little bit more swinging, so this way it could have locked that handle back in. So, yeah. So once again, it could be me, but like I said, this is like a brand new charging handle. I literally just put this charger in my garage just a few days ago, and so that is a little weird. It's barely been used, and that's a little interesting to see. So yeah, maybe this locking mechanism is not exactly the greatest quality. I don't know if I would rely on it personally, but once again, I think there's a small subset of people who are going to be using this as a locked adapter to, you know, a Tesla charging handle. So if that's something that you're interested in, if that's a, you know, a requirement for your charging needs, maybe don't look at this charging adapter because of that issue. Not a big fan about that. I mean, it works fine if you're just going to be working with this at home all the time, but no big deal. Now, let's talk about the other side, the J1772 side. So the J1772 side has this really nice mechanism here. Now, one of the things I do like about this is that you can see that there is a button here to lift this mechanism up, which is nice. It's not all exposed on top, which is always a problem in my book when I see those adapters that have a very exposed handle here or a very exposed button. If you were to ever drop it on this area, let's say, you might break this locking mechanism off, and I'm not a big fan of that at all. So that is a nice design in my opinion. I like how they kind of incorporated the the button for the locking mechanism down inside of the handle, and it's not exposed on the top of the handle. So I like that. That was a good job, Nivion. I like that integrated design more than just it sitting on the top of the handle or the adapter. All right, cool. So now that we got this situated here, let's go ahead and get you close up to the car. Let's get this plugged in and let's give it a little bit of a test to see how well it performs. And one of the things I wanted to point out is I don't have a way to test the full amperage of this adapter. Unfortunately, my level 2 charger only has up to 32 amps of charging. And so I won't be able to fully test the highest part of the amperage of this device, but they are claiming 80 amps on this adapter. So let's go ahead and get this plugged into the car and see how it functions and see how it works. All right, so I don't have a Tesla wall connector. What you saw before was just a 110 volt Tesla mobile connector. So what I do to test these adapters is I actually use a J1772 charger, and then I put into a Tesla adapter, and which I then just throw into the Nivion adapter here, like so. And this is how I test the chargers. I know it looks a little ridiculous, but it does the trick. It's just an adapter to an adapter. This adapter in the middle is more than capable of handling the charge going through it, so I'm not really concerned. All right, so let's go ahead and get this plugged into the vehicle here and see how things go. All right, very nice. It had a nice, good insert into the vehicle. It wasn't loose or sloppy, but it also wasn't overly tight, which is nice to see. So that is good to see. It looks like it sits pretty flush to the car, which is nice. It seems to be missing the door for the CCS ports, which is good to see as well. And yeah, and we are charging according to these indicator lights here. Now we could do up to about 7 kilowatts on this charger. So we're gonna let this charge for a little bit, and then I'm gonna take some temperature readings of the handle itself and see if we get anything abnormal here. And we'll kind of just give it some time and see how it goes from there. So stay tuned. All right, everybody. Well, you joined me back about 1 hour after the car has been charging. So about a whole hour that it's been charging. Now, I did take some temperature of the adapter before we started the charging session. So it was about 79 to 81 degrees along this whole area here. So let's go ahead and take another temperature reading here and see where we're at. It's like 82, 82 and a half, 83 and a half, 80, oh, we're up to about 86 down at where the adapter is, 87, 87, 85, 84. So we can see that we have a little bit more temperature down in this area. It gets cooler as it gets up here, which is good. We can see there's only a few degrees difference between the initial plug-in and about an hour later, so that's pretty good. And the last thing I want to point out as well is that, you know, we are charging at only 32 amps. This adapter is rated for 80 amps, so we have to imagine that this adapter will go up probably at least a few more degrees once we hit that 80 amp maximum charge rate on this adapter. So keep in mind that this has 122 degree Fahrenheit usage rating, so I can't imagine that we would hit 122 degrees even if we were using an 80 amp circuit trying to charge through here. But once again, I think if you were to charge out in the sun in the middle of a really hot day, I think then you might have some concern for the adapter getting a little bit too warm for its liking. So anyway, let's go ahead and finish up the review. Oh, one last thing I wanted to do real quick is the unplug. So let's see how this feels. Okay, pushing the release button, it turned off the charging as it should, and we'll pull out. Nice and smooth, I like it. There you go, everybody. Well, there is the Nivion Tesla to J1772 charging adapter for your J1772 vehicles. What's my overall impressions of this adapter? Well, it seems to work pretty well. It has a very nice high amperage rating of 80 amps, which is nice to see in an adapter because you always want to have some extra cushion. Things that I like about it, I think it's got a good design. I think it's really sleek. It functions really well. It seems we were able to charge the vehicle successfully. I've been using this actually for the last couple of weeks, just trying to get used to it, trying to use it more often, just trying to see how well it works. Now, a couple things I can't say about it exactly is I can't test it for its full 80 amp capabilities. I don't have a vehicle that can accept 80 amps of charging, so that was one limitation that I did have with this today. I also could not test its longevity. How does it work after 100 usages, 1,000 usages? You know, that's something that takes months, possibly even longer, to test these adapters. So I can't say as far as that goes how well it's going to work, but I can say that the quality seems pretty nice. The functionality and even the design seems really nice. Like I said, I like this mechanism here. I think they did a good job of hiding the top of it underneath the actual adapter, as opposed to keeping this as a completely opened mechanism here. So I do like that aspect of it. But overall, I gotta say, I like it. I think it's a good quality adapter. If you're interested in this adapter, link is down in the description below, along with all of our other social media links and website. And I'd like to thank you very much for watching today's episode. I hope this review helped you out. If it did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up just below. I'd like to thank Nivion for reaching out to me and sending me this product to review on my channel. It's a nice adapter to have, and I definitely think that this would be one that I would like to have in my car just because of its 80 amp capability. I think that's a good headroom. No matter what adapter you come across in the wild, you can be sure that if you plug this in, you don't really have to worry about what you're plugging into. So I like that. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next product review episode. And remember, welcome to the future, and welcome to Tech Motoring. We'll see you soon.